Yo, what up? This is Z Nation, aka Savage on the Joe Giraffe. Welcome to another. Wait, what type of episode would this be? I think I'll basically make this into a deck building theory, I guess. Okay, I guess we'll make this a deck building theory episode then. And if it doesn't sound like I have like a lot of energy, I'm gonna be real with you. It's like almost 6 o'clock in the morning, so I'm not even gonna hold you. I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible and anything else like that. So, the first half of the video is me before I go to these tournaments. The second half of the video is like a day after the tournament is done and everything else like that. Um, so I am going to California Regional for Bushy Road. I've never really done these tournament report type, videos before. So I'm gonna try my best to, I guess try my best to, dip my toes in these waters and everything else like that. But anyway, wanted to basically go over what I'm going to be playing both days and how I feel is going to happen within these, next 2 days in the tournament and everything else like that. How am I feeling about the competition and everything else like that? So I am not doing Weiss this time. I'm doing just straight up Vanguard. And the reason being is because I have not played Weiss in like a few months. Pretty much my play group is just busy with other things, so it's kind of a little bit understandable. And finding a locals is kind of scarce and everything else like that. So for now, I'm sitting Weiss out for right now. But anyway. Well, in technicality, I am. So, day one is going to be standard format. I mean, well, both days are going to be standard, but day one is going to be singles. Day two is going to be teams, and I'm going to be playing a deck on a different deck on both days and everything else like that. So, my singles event is going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to be playing what I normally play, which is usually a Stoicheia deck or anything else like that. But on the second day, I'm definitely, playing Stoicheia and all this other stuff like that. Because, I can't let my teammates down and everything else like that. So, what am I playing for singles? Singles, I'm going to be playing Freyrin. Well, specifically the Burn deck. So I'm going to be playing that one. And the reason I'm playing that one is for a few reasons. For one, I do like the series a lot. For two, it's out of my comfort zone. I wanted to try something different. And, considering that I don't have to pay money for these, enter the tournaments, might as well experiment a little bit. And three, I'm kind of curious of how I'm going to actually do this. Because I'm just winging it, to be honest. I'm not even going to hold you on it. I'm not like a super expert. I didn't necessarily, study a lot of time. I just know like a few things of what to do and what not to do in a deck and everything else like that. So it's going to be an interesting experience. Second day for teams, obviously going in with deep lanes. I'm not even gonna hold you. Deep lanes is even with the hit is damn good. Originally I was going to go with, I think how you pronounce it is a Chilion, right? I was originally going to go with a Chilion, not even gonna hold you. But the deciding factor for me between both blends and the Chilion definitely came down to, how good does the deck do at its worst? Because basically that's how I gauge what to do and what not to do on a deck and everything else like that. I usually gauge it from an aspect of how well the deck does when it's under, either how well the deck does under pressure, or how well the deck does when you draw complete and utter shit. But anyway, I basically decided that it's a lot easier to play deep lands when you don't really have a lot of your pieces compared to Echelon. When you don't really have a lot of your pieces, I did see that we're going to get new Echelon support, so I'm kind of curious at how that's going to go, but I'm not really dissatisfied with how the deck actually is currently. I actually do like how the deck currently is, but that's just me. Going back to Fern, I think the problem I have with Fern definitely comes down to defensive options. I think like the defensive options is complete and utter jinx, but still, at the end of the day, I'm still going to try to rush my opponent down with this possible. So I think that's overall what you're really supposed to be doing with the deck, but that's just my personal interpretation of it. Um, Now I did wanted to play the Fragrant build, but there's two particular reasons why I'm not playing that. The first one is I believe that the issue with that Fragrant has is that she's too piece reliant. Basically, the way the deck works is you need like at least seven grimoires in like the bind zone in order for like her deck to like work efficiently, and then at the same time you also get a full effect which allows you to draw a card, gain plus 5k to the front row, and then um you're also able to get plus one dry check. The other issue is getting the normal order in time. So for one, the normal order can't be used until both players are at grade 3, which is kind of sort of a bummer when you really think about it. And then two, that same normal order gives you the ability to give a plus one critical and an extra 5k to the front row. So it works pretty well in a in a persona ride turn, but at the same time there's like a lot of stuff that can basically go wrong because again that particular build is very piece reliant, especially when one of your grimoires go into the damage zone. Now granted there is a grimoire that allows you to heal stuff from the damage zone, but again it's very hard to gauge at the end of the day because what if that particular grimoire goes into the damage zone? I'm screwed after that, especially if I can't really heal it out of the damage zone in time. So it's a weird, but at the same time it's still a fun build because you are able to get you're able to put like back your criticals and your well anyone that's not like a heal or what is it, a heal or an open trigger, you're able to put that back into the deck. You're able to get full draws pretty easily early on in the game. You're also able to manipulate the top part of your deck and whatnot, and the deck still like hits pretty hard even when you don't have all the grimoires, in the, into like the bind zone or anything else like that. But outside of that, it does pretty well at the end of the day. So that is something to look forward to and everything else like that. Hey, future do here. So after looking at the audio, well, not looking at the audio, listening to the audio, turns out that I was way too tired and you can barely hear me through the rest of the thing, as you can basically hear. So I'm just going to skip to basically the other day and everything else like that. But I also want to take the time to actually put something interesting. So on the screen, you can basically see like the Fern deck, and you actually like look at the mat. For those who don't know, the person on the mat is Patchouli Knowledge from the series Toad. And I'm gonna be real with you, her and Yukari is my most favorite Toad characters. And I had that mat. That's like legit the very first mat that I've ever had when I started playing card games all the way back in 2009. Well, when I started going to card shops back in 2009. So that mat is like over 15 plus years old already. So if you see, like, if you look at it, it looks like there's like a bunch of wear and tear. The reason why I decided to bring that mat in general when I was playing it like Saturday is because if you look at her design and Fern's design, they basically look the same. Matter of fact, when I first watched Raven and I saw Fern, Patchouli was the very first person I was thinking of. So I was like, hey, I'm not gonna have time to really, get a, Fern map published, because by the time I like decided to play with Fern, I was like, it was like already like maybe 2 weeks before like the events. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get a Fern mat in time. So that's when I came up with the idea of actually doing that. But anyway, back on to what happens the day after the tournament. Oh boy. This game ain't real. This game ain't real. This game is not fucking real. Brother. 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 Brother.
We have a problem. Conductor, we have a problem. Conductor, we have a problem. Conductor, we have a fucking problem. Conductor, we...
Oh my god, I am so fucking mad. I am mad to the umpteenth power. First off, before I even continue, congratulations to everybody who made top 8 cut, top 32 cut, top whatever cut in all the events. In all three, Vanguard, White Swords, and Shadowverse. Even though I don't really fuck with Shadowverse, still congratulations, motherfucker. But anyway, my issue was a lot of things. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not even gonna hold you. I am fucking mad right now. Okay, so before we even get to how everything basically started, I just want to say, fuck the security. I just want to say, fuck the security. First off, before I even get to the security, first off, fuck you, Bushiroad. Fuck you, Bushiroad, with no Vaseline. With no Vaseline whatsoever. And the reason why I say this is because on Saturday, now here's the thing. It's usually a thing where there's another event going on. After all, it's a convention center. There's going to be multiple events going on and everything else like that. We're not fucking Anime Expo or whatever, so it's just like a whatever thing, right? But the problem I had that there were 4 different events going on at once, so parking was a bit. Let's just be real on that. You had like what, a volleyball event, the regular Bushiroad event, then you also had like a taekwondo event or whatever, and then I think there was like another event that was happening. It was like 4 fucking events going on at once. Oh yeah, this was perfect fucking timing for you to do a regional tournament, Bushiroad. But that's also not what pissed me off. What other pissed me off is I woke up, but I didn't have enough time to really eat. So what I do, I actually tried to make like, my my 2 breakfast burritos. I made it took me at least 30 plus minutes to make those breakfast burritos, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna go into the venue and everything else like that, and you know, once I get into the venue before the match even starts, I'm gonna eat my fucking breakfast. And I was like, you know what, cool beans, I'm gonna actually do that. But guess what? It's all like, obviously the place has a metal tech, because you know you have crazy motherfuckers out here, so I'm not necessarily blaming them for that. But obviously, because I'm on fucking crutches, that shit was just gonna go off anyway. But that's besides the point. It's all like, the point is, I had to throw my burritos away. So I didn't even get a chance to fucking eat anything until like 6 o'clock at fucking night. That means I went the entire fucking day hungry as shit, hungry than a motherfucker, fucking mad at the fucking security, but that's besides the point. Let's talk about how my tournament thing went there, because before I blow a fucking gasket.
The audacity!
Anyway, let's over there go on with day one. Day one, like I said, I went in with Fern. I went in with Fern and I was like, you know what? I think, and like I mentioned earlier, I think at most I will be okay, you know, maybe going, you know, splitting even. I don't expect to make top 32. I don't expect to make top 8. I just want to see how far I'm coming with this deck, and I'm not gonna lie. Okay, anyway, round 1, I went against Ava. Now, I really wasn't expecting to go against Ava, and it's not like I don't remember how Ava actually worked. All I was like, okay, all I gotta really care about is with whatever ones, you know, actually, you know, get the critical and stuff like that. So I was like, all I gotta do is worry about the built-in critical and everything else like that. Alright, I basically lost the match. I'm not even gonna hold you on it. I'm not really going to, you know, drag it out or anything else like that, but I got the person to like at least 3 more cards left in deck, so I was kind of doing something in a way. So I'm not going to say it was a complete slaughterhouse, but anyway, then right, I was like, you know what, it's just 1 loss, let's just see how everything else goes. So round 2 happens, and guess what happened? It was a bye. It was just a bye. Now, granted, I was expecting the bye to be like round 4, round 5, but round 2 bye is kind of weird. I'm not even gonna hold you on it. Now, I'm not necessarily 100%. Like, actually, those are kind of understandable when I think about it, because usually when I did premium events, I always had a first round bye, and that was because motherfuckers wouldn't show up. Somehow, y'all motherfuckers are all like, oh, why are they getting rid of premium? Because of shit like that, but we're not here to talk about that. We're not here to talk about that. Round 3, I go against Bav Sarvica. Was not expecting Bav to show up in my tournament things, and I was like, you know what? At first, this is where it got me. At first, I was like, you know what? I do kind of remember how to play against Bad Savrika, because it has not been that long since Bad Savrika really had a meta or anything else like. But then I forgot this deck has ass cheeks defense. This deck has ass cheeks defense, so I am going to get my shit pushed in. Luckily, it was not that bad. Pause. But anyway. It wasn't that bad of a loss. I'll give it that. I'll give the deck that much credit. And then at the same time, I at least did something that I was actually able to achieve, which was forcing the player to use the shield arms very early. So that was at least something to, you know, think about and everything else like that. Alright, so after that loss, I went against round 4. Round 4 was Herminia. I think that's how you say her name. Herminia. She's basically like the powerful chick in Lyrical and everything else like that. Now, I have not seen this deck since it first came out. I'm not even gonna hold you on it. So at the end of the day, I was kind of like confused on how to like really play against it. All I knew is that the deck does stuff when you don't have any soul and anything else like that, which, let's be real, there's nothing I can really do about that part and everything else like that. Now, this game, I actually won. Don't get me wrong, I actually won this one. But it was not a satisfying win. And the reason being is because midway through, my opponent actually hit an offensive overtrigger. And the problem that we didn't even realize until after the match was over is that he forgot to give the plus 110k to all of his front row rear guards on the rest of his turn. So now I'm over here trying to debate if this was even a legitimate win or not, which sucks which is very ass cheeks. I'm not even gonna hold you on it. But then after that, after worrying a little bit, I was like, okay, I'm ready for round 5. What did round 5 have for me? Another buy. And I was like, okay, so I got 2 buys at once. I'm not really surprised. I'm like very negative in the thing. I'm not really surprised I got that, like another buy like later in the thing. The problem is now I have 2 buys in the record and 1 win that I don't even know if that's really even considered a win or anything else like that. But anyway, round 6, I go against Overlord. Now, here's the thing. I practiced more against Aichi than I did against Kai because, for one, not too many people in my play group was really interested in Kai like that, and then 2, Aichi was the bigger threat at the end of the day. Let's just be real on that. That nigga has Cyqualia. It's whatever. Dragonic Overlord, on the other hand, is all like, actually, this was a pretty interesting match because it turns out that the person I was going against recognized me when I was doing my Facebook page and everything else like that. So that was actually kind of interesting. I'm not even gonna hold you on it, but overall, I still got my shit pushing. Not as bad as I thought it was gonna be, but I still lost regardless. Should have paired against them, didn't. Didn't do too much preparation and everything else like that because I was thinking that I was gonna run into Aichi more, but it is what it is. Last round, I go against All Done. And guess what happened to that match? I was all done. I am not apologizing for that punt. I'm not. So basically, I went out, basically 1 win out of the 7. I know 2 were buys, but I am not considering them wins. So I basically went 1-6, but the record would basically said I went 3-4. But still, I don't count those buys as a win, and that 1 win that I did get was very questionable. So now I'm looking at Fern like, hey, what the fuck is going on? I knew I wasn't going to do the best, but I actually wanted to do something, and I couldn't do nothing. So now I'm hungry, now I'm pissed, now I'm double pissed, and everything else like that. I fucking hate it here. This game ain't real. But anyway, let's go on to day 2. Now, day 2, I did not play Fern. Instead, I played Deep Lands because I was not going to put my teammates into torture. My other 2 teammates was using Odium and Minerva. I was like, you know what? It's pretty cool. It's a couple of bad bitches and some fish. We about to give these people some Omega 3s. All right, round 1, we go against Harfluer, and I go against Harfluer, and I'm not gonna lie, even though I lost, I deserved it. I'm not gonna hold you. I deserved that fucking L. And it's not the fact that I misplayed or anything. I literally on my first drive check hit an OT. And for basically the first half of that entire fight, I was hitting defensive triggers and offensive triggers. So again, I kind of sort of deserve that L. I'm not even gonna hold you on it. It is all like I'm not even fucking mad at that. I was hoping that I was gonna trigger sack that well yesterday, but apparently it all wanted to do it today. And then round two, I went against Varga, and surprisingly, I won that match. I went against Varga, actually won that match. Wasn't really expecting to go against Varga. I had to like try to reboot my memory on how Varga actually works, but at the end of the day, I still actually like won that one. And I was like, you know what? Finally, I get like a legitimate win and everything else like that. I'm not even gonna hold you. Then round three, I go against the Phantom version of Magnolia, and I'm not gonna hold you. This was the most Metapod versus Metapod match I have ever been in. Let's be real, we were going back and forth in it to the point where it ended up in time. It's all like at one particular point, I put him to 6 damage and he actually miracle healed against me. And I was like, okay, the match is going on and everything else like that. Sadly, match went on the time and basically had to figure out how we were going to do this. Game state wise, I was surviving all of his attacks because I had my OT in hand, I had a PG in hand, and I had enough guard to use the other two. So I didn't necessarily have to take a damage whatsoever. Unfortunately, because we had to make a decision pretty quickly, he actually gave me the win and everything else like that because board state basically says otherwise in a way, even though you're not really supposed to use game state as a thing and everything else like that. So we were a little bit curious on how the next turn was actually going to happen. Because our match was a deciding factor. One of my teammates lost, one of my other teammates won, and this was basically like the overall deciding factor, which was pretty decent. Here is the funny thing that happens, and the reason why I said it's the most Metapod versus Metapod match I've ever been. So apparently, the next card that I was going to get was going to be my Persona ride. Cool beans. We're both at 4 damage because even though he miracle healed, he healed once again during that dry check and everything else like that. So basically what happened is we decided to check to see what the last 2 cards were. The first card was regular, but the second card was a heal trigger. And then it turns out that the card after that was another heal trigger. So basically this match was going to be never ending. When you really think about it, that shit was pretty funny. I'm not even gonna hold you. That's why I was like, this is the most Metapod versus Metapod match I've ever seen. Alright, now, on to round 4. We go against Odium. And I'm not gonna lie, this was a pretty interesting, like, first to grade 3 type thing because, let's be real, none of us took any damage until, like, my opponent got the grade 3 because my opponent went first. And everything else like that. And honestly, even though I survived the double turn onslaught, the only reason why I was able to actually win that is because in the second, like when he did this last dry checks, it turned out to be like nothing but grade 3s and he had little to nothing in hand. So obviously I was able to like take the win on that one. And I was like, okay, that was kind of an interesting match and everything else like that. Round 5, I go against Deeplands. So basically, it is Sonic versus Metal Sonic. And I'm not gonna lie, I have fun in that particular match. I ended up getting the win on that one, thanks to OT. But still, that was a pretty interesting match regardless. The only sad thing is the match ended a little bit too early, and I had to take a piss at that time too. I'm not even gonna hold you. So, you know, sitting for like the next 20, like almost 20 minutes and everything else like that, waiting for the other 2 matches to finish. Oh, that was a struggle. I'm not even gonna hold you. Then So at this particular point, because unfortunately our team lost that one, we were X2, and we were like, hey, there's only 2 more rounds left. Let's try to see how we do in the last 2 rounds. So round 6, I go against Die Kaiser. Now, I'm gonna play this right now before I continue.
We all human. We all liable to make mistakes. Even
You know what? And the reason why I have to say that is due to the simple fact that this is the first time I went against D series Die Kaiser. And I'm not gonna lie, as a person who has played OG Vanguard, like Vanguard before G era, that had to go against Die Kaiser, Sin Buster, during Legion era, was not fucking fun. I'm not gonna hold you. The PTSD is still there. So now I'm over here panicking once he legions, and I'm all like, okay, when is this guard break going to actually happen? Because I didn't know that the guard break don't happen if you actually, boost and everything else like that. Again, I have not seen D series, like Dimension Police in D series, since like the Dayusha support came out the first time. That was the last time I went against DP in general. So I kind of low-key not only forgot how some of the first wave of support actually worked, but then I also don't even know like how Die Kaiser worked. So again, once again, I'm over here just basically trying to figure out when is this guard restrict going to happen, when is this guard break going to happen, and everything else like that. So I'm panicking this whole entire time. And you know what? It's funny because I did draw into my over trigger, and I was very hesitant of fucking guarding with it during his Vanguard attack because I'm all like, he's just gonna guard break it. So you can't blame me for that. Now, granted, I should have just fucking asked to read the card and everything else like that. But again, PTSD is kicking in, my nigga. PTSD was kicking in. I got nervous. I ended up losing. I'm not even gonna hold you. I ended up losing. But still, regardless, my team lost in general. All 3 of us lost, so it was just like a complete sweep from the other team. We decided not to do round 7. There was really no point. We were already X3, and we were like, hey, let's just do like the side event and everything else like that. So you know what? I went in with a better record. I was 4-2 and everything else like that, which was understandable, or at least like 3-2-1 if you really want to count like the double, like the timeout as like not a legitimate win, just count it as a tie. But still, at the end of the day, that is basically how my day 1 and day 2 events basically went. However, there is more. I decided that in the side event, I looked at my Fern deck and I was like, what the fuck is going on? So I decided to actually enter with my Fern deck to see if my deck was complete utter ass cheeks or what the fuck was I doing wrong. So round 1, I go against Aichi Icon and I actually win that one, which I was very surprised at. I know it was a deck that I was actually like playing, play testing and everything else like that, but I was surprised to actually win that particular match. And I was like, okay, I see where this is going. So then I go to round 2, and guess what happens in round 2? My teammate, the Minerva player, I actually go against. And I was like, damn. So in technicality, I am team killing, even though we're no longer in the tournament, but that's besides the point. But my thing is, we decided to play, it's all like we played, and I hit every trigger known to man at the right time, including the over trigger. Offensive over trigger. I'm using the Keter trigger, by the way. So that means I was able to drive check with fucking Stark. And I'm just sitting here like, I win the match, and I'm looking at the deck, and I'm like, why the fuck did you not do this yesterday? What the fuck? I'm fucking mad at this game is not real. This game is not real. I'm telling you right now, this game is not fucking real, brother. But then round 3, I actually go against Overlord. I get my shit kicked in, basically humbling the deck once again. So basically now I have two L's going against Overlord and everything else like that. But that's beside the point. This game is not real. This game is not real. But anyway, I'm done with my rant. I know this was like a long ass video, but I hope you guys enjoy yourself. Stay blessed. My name's Mr. Do Nation, aka Savage Armor Jones Rafa, and I want my Brills back, man.